EPs out, and I don't have them, and I did see one in Penny Lane recently for $150, but it was gone last time I went there. Too expensive for me. Right, I did mention the Double Happies before. The Double Happies was Shane Carter and a couple of his mates. Is it Wayne Elsley? He was the one that died in a horrible train accident. This is a reissue of the EPs and the singles, I think. Yeah, Wayne Elsley was the thing that his death was what broke up the band, pretty much, because it was a tragic accident way back in 1984, whenever. So yeah, Double Happy Nerves. The EP. This is the same cover as the original EP it shows in the book. So I'm assuming that it's that EP and maybe that single they released out. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't actually double checked all of that. But this is a Flying Nun reissue. It's actually reissued by Flying Nun themselves. So, where are we at? Sneaky Feelings. I showed you their album before. This is a 12-inch single they put out called Husband House. Just the 2 tracks, I think. So this is a 12-inch single. I don't normally buy 12-inch singles because you don't get a lot of bang for your bucks. And of course these actually do. I mean, these aren't real expensive, but they do. They do go for more than what they should. The Tall Dwarfs put out this LP. That's a bit of a strange one actually, because side one's like 2 tracks at 45 RPM, and then side 2 is a whole bunch of tracks at 33. So that's like a normal LP. So this was their first LP, because Chris Knox did release an album under his own name before this, but this is their first LP. This is an original copy, not a reissue. But side one's a re-recording of an original song that was out on one of the earlier EPs, from what I understand. But I do have some other Tall Dwarf LPs that were came out later on after 1998, but they were reissues. And then the next one's another Tall Dwarf, and this is a reissue on Flying Nun of the very first EP that they put out, which is on a label called Furtive. And then they reissued it. Yeah, they reissued it a few years later. So this is actually. This is actually the Furtive Records version. I didn't realise that. I thought it was the Flying Nun version. So this is actually the original version. Okay, brilliant. Right, a few more I don't have. And then, now the first one. The very first compilation, I believe. And this is a real big one. So Tuatara came out in 1985. This is a 12-track compilation of stuff, and all the stuff there is from bands that I've pretty much shown you. The Clean, the Gordons, Fetus Protections, Deaf and the Maiden by Verlaines, which I didn't have on any of the other stuff, which is one of their best songs. And then Looking for the Sun from Children's Vows, which is the EP I don't have. Then The Chills, Sneaky Feelings, The Great Unwashed, Neck of the Woods, which is not on their LP, it's on that single. The Bats, The Expendables, Man with No Desire, which is, as I mentioned, and then The Brain That Wouldn't Die by Tall Dwarf. So yeah, this is an absolutely brilliant compilation, and sounds great. So that wasn't too expensive to pick up actually. It's an original copy that was never. I don't think it's ever been reissued, or maybe on CD, perhaps. Okay, so the second and final Mary and the Atom EP. Haven't played this a lot, so I can't tell you much about it. I saw was a really cool track on their first one, which is actually on that compilation I just showed you. I think from reading the book, this is actually a little bit different from the first EP. These things, they get put on the shelf and you don't listen to them for years. Okay, next one is From Scratch, Pacific 3210 Part 1. So From Scratch, they play what you see on the cover there, those sets of pipes. So this is very kind of experimental Don McGlashan was in this band for a while. He may feature on this record. I've got a few other from scratch records. I wouldn't say there's something that I play a lot, to be honest. It's something quite different for Flying Nun. Definitely not amongst the usual stuff. A few more pages. We're flicking over to 1986. Oh yes, the Verlaine's first LP, I believe. So they put out some EPs and some singles and stuff. And then this, was there the compilation after this? This is a reissue. Captured Tracks. So Captured Tracks teamed up, they're out of the States. Captured Tracks teamed up with Flying Nun and did a whole bunch of reissues, some of which I managed to come across, and this is one of them. So the Verlaine's first LP. I haven't played this a lot. The Verlaines are a band that you really, I think, need to sit down and listen to. They're quite complex. But I do like them. I am getting to like them more than I did. Well, like I say, that Deaf and the Maiden's a New Zealand classic. Abel Tasman's I shall get back to soon, and the Bird's Nest Roys. Okay, another compilation that came out via Flying Nun, but was not really put together by them. This is a student radio compilation. Came out, so I think Outnumbered by Sheep. The artwork's by David Mitchell. Came out in 1986, and it was put together by all of the radio stations, the student radio stations in New Zealand, which, like, no, was there 4 or 5 of them, and they kind of picked tracks from their own neck of the woods, I guess. So there's some interesting stuff, and apparently some of the tracks on here are quite exclusive to this compilation. So it's really cool to have that. Took me a while to find it, but it did turn up one day, thank God. And we shall flick on a few more. A couple of really good singles. Shane Carter and Peter Jeffries, Randolph Going Home, and The Weeds, Wheatfields. They're 2 absolute classics of New Zealand, but I don't actually have the singles. Right. Scorched Earth Policy. And I think I saw another EP. So they put out 2 EPs on Flying Nun. Going Through a Hole in the Back of Your Head was the second and final EP. The first EP is also on here. This band is related to the Victor Dimish band who I showed earlier on. This is a reissue on Stiltbury's recordings out of the USA. Just not that long ago, I picked this up. The original 2 EP originals are again, really hard to find, and you'll be paying about $300 each for them if you're lucky. Or unlucky. I did show you Fetus Productions earlier on. This was their Flying Nun LP. Not so much their first LP. They self-released some stuff, and they had some stuff out on other labels as well. Flicker is the big track off here, which is the opening track on side 1, which is really, really cool. The rest of the album I don't remember being hugely impressed with, to be honest, but it hasn't had a lot of airtime, but cool to have that. I mean, obviously, if a Flying Nun thing turns up and I can afford to buy it, it's not too pricey, I'll grab it. Another Sneaky Feelings. I think this is just a 12-inch single, Better Than Before. Yeah, pretty much. Maybe 3 tracks on this one. I can't say too much about that. Oh, okay. Now this is one I only just picked up a couple of weeks, or this last week. So I mentioned Jay Clarkson. Well, the Playthings was her first band in Christchurch here, and they were around from like 1980 to about 82. They were not very long. I picked up their second single, which maybe got to play on Radio Pictures or on the student radio, but it's a fantastic wee single. Their first single is even better, to be honest. Flying Nun put this out around about 1985, so it was kind of well after the after the fact. And recorded in 1981, I believe. This was... I've seen this around a couple of times in shops. The first time I saw it was in Dunedin, and when I first started collecting it, I thought, wow, that's cool. But with $110 he had on the price of it. This turned up in Penny Lane. They had $100 on it. They couldn't sell it. I got it for half that. They reduced the price, and I jumped on it because I didn't really want to pay $100 for it. But to be honest, it's really good. And I'm not 100% sure, but the two songs, Coloured and Sit Down, which was their first single, they might have been actually lifted off this live recording because it sounds very similar. That being said, though, there are videos to those songs, or to one of those songs, so I don't know. Yeah, really pleased, really pleased to have this. The Playthings 2 singles and a couple of other tracks, which is about all I've got, was reissued on Leather Jacket Records just last year or the year before. Okay, the next one up is the Chills Kaleidoscope World. So this is their first full LP, but it's not actually an LP, it's actually a compilation of a whole bunch of the early stuff. It's had a reissue with a whole bunch of extra tracks, which I really should pick up because it's got all the other tracks on all the other EPs and stuff that I don't have. And this is, awesome stuff. We've got Rolling Moon and Pink Frost and Satin Doll and Doll Drums and, oh man, all of those songs are just fantastic. Yeah, so this is an original copy. It's an original Flying Nun copy because it was released over in Europe and England, I believe, too. So, yeah. Oh, sorry, this is going to be a long video. We've got a wee way to go yet. Oh, man, this one is fantastic. I managed to pick this one up. And this is one of my favourite EPs on this label. This is the Alpaca Brothers. They actually reformed and put out a new LP, but it's completely different from this stuff. But this is a 4-track EP they put out in 1986. Man, you have to pay $150 for copies of these. I managed to pick it up for a little bit less than that, but not much. Fucking awesome record. Brilliant music. Absolutely. And it still sounds fantastic. Love it. This is one of my all-time favourites. The Jean-Paul Sartre Experience, and this is their first EP. It's got quite a few songs. Flex is the one that came off of that with the big track. So I remembered the band from back in the day. I didn't have any of their LPs, but I remember Flex and I Like Rain getting played on the radio, on student radio. And I actually saw them, I think I saw them live because I think that they supported the Violent Femmes on one of their trips here. Because I saw them about 3 times. There's a Goblin mix. Right, this is just bizarre. This is the worst record Flying Nun ever put out as far as I'm concerned. This is absolutely horrible. It was a bit of a piss take joke thing, but they did play live. Adrenal Glandy, Songs of Love and Hate and Revenge. It's kind of a piss take country record. Yeah, I don't know. I think Don McGlashan played on this actually, but it's not. I've played it a couple of times. And it's definitely one night, And to be honest, it doesn't go for big dollars. I can see why. The next one is another one that was pretty unusual for Flying Nun. The X-Men. The X-Men are a local Christchurch, legendary local Christchurch band who are still, up until recently, still going. Unfortunately, one of the leaders died just a couple of years back as well, unfortunately. I saw them live just a few years ago. They're a very tight band, but back then they were loose, but they were so creative. This is a double LP. This is a reissue though, of course. I don't have an original. Stilt Breeze. If anyone had an original of this, I remember back in the day, although he didn't play it much because I don't recall the songs of it, but really lo-fi. But this is, well, bizarre band. DIY. This is the meaning of DIY. Big time. Okay, I'm going to move on quickly. Okay, X-Men, The Puddle, blah blah blah. The Bats EP, another one I don't have. Okay. So after Jake Clarkson after the Expendables went their own way, Jake Clarkson finally got together and put out an EP. No, actually, is it an album? This is really good, and this got what is the song? The Boy with the Sad Hands. That's brilliant. That's kind of a bit like The Man with No Desire. It's kind of a similar sort of track. Really good. She had a great voice. So this is it's kind of a EP, but I think I don't know if it's a full album, but it's kind of the only thing she did back then. And then she did another band for a one release, and then that was that for many years, I believe. She sort of disappeared and off the scene, did her own thing, probably had a family, etc. Okay, Look Blue Go Purple. So Look Blue Go Purple were an all-girl band from Dunedin, and they had some pretty cool stuff out, and they put out 2 EPs. Just got to the second one, and both those EPs are reissued on this, which is another Captured Tracks Flying Nun, one that they put out together. So so that was saved me a lot of money having to buy the original EPs because they are rather expensive. Right, we're up to 1987, and the Tall Dwarfs throw a Sickie EP. This is about the 4th EP of theirs I've shown. So I do have the whole lot now, finally. I only just picked up the last one recently, which might be outside of the dates that we're showing here. Sneaky Feelings' second LP, Sentimental Education. Now, I remember thinking this is actually quite a good record. This is from 1986. Says there that comes under 1987 there, but a lot of Flying Nun stuff took a long time to get out. There was quite some big delays in the releases. There was a lot of that mentioned in the book about sometimes over a year between recording and getting their albums released, and they also had a lot of problems with the pressing plants and faulty pressings and crap like that. So it was probably a very frustrating experience. Children's Hour morphed into this band, the Headless Chickens, after one of the guys spent a bit of time with this kind of punishment, and this was their first LP put out. It's a pretty dark sort of record. I managed this picked up at a record fair for pretty cheap. They went on to be a massive group in New Zealand. They put out a couple more LPs after this, both of which I have, and they became a rather commercial band, but a very good commercial band. And then a little bit more obscure, a poet called Kim Blackburn put out this called Lizards in Love, and this is the only LP she ever did, and I can't really say too much about it. And I'm actually getting really croaky here. I'm not used to talking so long. Right, the Max Block. So I had trouble finding this because I filed it in the wrong place. Now, the Max Block were, I think it was, anyway, they kind of, this is a short-lived band that evolved out of some other bands, and Bill Dyrene had a connection to it through some of his own players that maybe that appeared on. I can't remember. Mary Rose Wilkinson, who her name was, and Brian Crook, they actually ended up getting married and forming the Renderers. I think they both played us. So this is a reissue of the original EP, which is in the book, which was called The Max Block. And then that's on side 1, and then side 2 is just some unreleased studio recordings. I've never ever seen that original EP in the shops. Probably didn't sell much copies. This band here, I had most of the stuff they put out. This was their last album, I think, about their 3rd LP, and their first one on Flying Nun, so they've been around a little bit. Reading the article on the thing, that didn't get all that great reviews, but I think this is I picked it up fairly cheaply. I think I paid about $60 for it, and it's a fucking stunning record, and really well recorded. Really good, really good. So I did manage to backtrack and get the rest of their other LPs as well. So I do have all of the. I think there's only one EP that I don't have, but yeah, that Idiot Son is a brilliant record. Really, really enjoyed it. Okay. And okay. So earlier in the book, we passed a couple of records by a band called the Able Tasmans. Now this is their LP that came out originally. This is a reissue. Again, it's a Captured Tracks Flying Nun reissue. This is the original LP, and the Tired Sun EP, which is what I would have passed earlier on, and then some bonus tracks. So it's a double release. So yeah, really cool. This is good band. Good LP. And I've got another one coming out that's kind of in a similar vein in a minute. So as you can see, a lot of it has been finally getting reissues. Oh, the Jean-Paul Sartre Experience. Their first, well, that one I showed before was an EP. This is actually their first LP called Love Songs. Can't tell you much about this because I haven't played it, but original price was $15.50, 1986 or 87. Yeah. Okay, I don't have that one. Another Goblin Mix one. The Rip. Right. This kind of punishment, I think, didn't I show it in their earlier on? This was the last one they did with Flying Nun. This is a Superior Viaduct. Again, reissue. All the ones I have of this band are reissues. Superior Viaduct did all of the Nocturnal Projections EPs and LPs, and those as well. The Bats' first full-length LP, Daddy's Highway, I believe. This is their first LP. They had quite a few EPs out before then. I think they're all available on a compilation, which I don't have. This is again another Captured Tracks reissue. The Bats are still going, and they have just released an LP recently. Again, great band. I like them, seeing them live, and I really do like their music. The Chills again. Now this was their first LP. Now this is Flying Nun Fire Records reissued, and Fire Records have been releasing quite a bit of the later chill stuff from the last few years. This is a double LP reissue. Brave World, Spoken Bravely, the remix, right, taken back to the studio and remastered under the supervision of Martin Phillips. Expanded edition debut LP. Apparently, I haven't heard the first one, the debut LP, but original copies were of really, really poor fidelity and really muddy sounding, and everyone says this sounds. I mean, this does sound stunning. It's absolutely great. I'm not sure much about the extended tracks. Hang on. Let's see. No, it doesn't say. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Yeah, so that's definitely worth having. It was, and it makes me not want to bother trying to find the originals, because this sounds so much better, they reckon. So, originals aren't always the best way to go. We are finally getting to the end of the pile. And we just turn the page to 1988. The Bird's Nest Roys. So this is, I bet you, yep, this is another Flying Nun Captured Tracks reissue. So I've actually picked up quite a few of those reissues. And again, this is another one, the Bird's Nest Roy. This is their self-titled LP, plus their EP, which I passed in the book earlier on, which was called, Whack It All Down. Yeah, that's the EP there. And that was the same as the other band I showed you, the Abel Tasmans, which was their LP, and an EP which I'd shown passed earlier in the book. And that, I think, is pretty much most of their recordings. They did put out a single, a 7-inch, I believe. I'm not sure if that's included on that or not. Right. Messages for the Cake Kitchen. So Graham Jeffries from This Kind of Punishment, he put out this LP. The Cake Kitchen became the name of the band that he put out all his records under from then on, or quite a few of them. I actually just picked up a reissue of the first official Cake Kitchen LP. This is a reissue again on Ally Records. Originally on Flying Nun 1987. So that was Graham Jeffries. His brother got together with a guy called Lono Johnny, and they put out this LP at Swim to Birds. Again, this is a Captured Tracks Flying Nun reissue from a few years back. This is a fucking amazing LP. I should play this more often. It's I don't know how to describe it. It's piano. There's a lot of piano. Peter's playing. Is Peter playing the piano? tape loops, piano, guitars, drums. I don't know, the piano seems to be something that sticked out for me. I remember that is an absolute must-have Flying Nun record, that one. Right, where are we at? This one here is the first EP by Nelsh Belter Space, who shortened their name to Belter Space. This EP was two of the Gordons got together and put this together, along with one of the members of the Clean, I believe. And then when he left, one of the other member of the Gordons turned up, and so they basically the Gordons reformed under a different name, and their music is quite a lot different. They were still very loud. I actually saw Belter Space play not that long ago, a few years ago. They played a gig, and it was cool. And they played a Gordon song. So, and the very last, no, not the last record in the book actually. And I didn't think I was going to make it to that. There were two more records after it, but the last one that I have in the book, and I didn't think I was going to show this. I thought it was in 1990, but the last one is the Dogma EP from Tall Dwarfs, and this is the one that I missed getting. This is actually Flying Nun number 98, release number 98. And this is the last one that I've been after. So I have all of the early EPs now on Flying Nun. So I'm really happy about that. So that is a very long video. That is almost an hour. I'm very sorry about that. I don't know if you managed to stick around that long, but if you have, good on you for watching. And that's just a little bit of Flying Nun history for you. Okay, cheers.